So Brad Anderson has a new film, and it is called Blood.
Load.
And now, Brad Anderson's definitely made some, you know, stuff I've seen before for sure. But Session 9 is easily his best film that I've watched. And I've always wanted him to kind of hit those heights again. And I wasn't a huge fan of Session 9 the first time I watched it. It was actually one of my biggest turnarounds I've ever had on a film on second viewing, where I just like love it now, and it's like one of my favorite films. So that was an interesting thing. But this time around, we have his newest film, which is about a family. Shocker, they're moving into a new house
Yep.
to start a new life. We talk about the tropes of this on the channel, and there's like two reoccurring elements that we're finding in like every other movie, if not almost every movie in the genre that we watch. And that is new home and dog knows evil.
Yep.
Right?
The dog always knows.
The dog always knows, and it's always a new house. Now, this is her childhood home that she's had to move into because her husband and her are now separated. Her husband has moved on to the nanny. But don't start judging daddy quite yet, because he's not the stereotypical father portrayed in most films where man equal bad.
Right.
That's not how this plays out at all. So anyways, they move into this house, and there is this dried up lake that's on their property, or at least near their property. And she has two kids. One's a girl, one's a boy. The girl's probably 14, 15.
Yeah, around there.
And the son is
14
like
probably.
12, 11, something like that. They go out to this dried up piece of land that used to be a lake, and there is this tree with some kind of bones next to it. We never see what that is.
No.
Unless I was in the kitchen. I did have to get up and go to the
No.
kitchen. Did they ever show?
No.
Okay, so we
Yeah.
see that there are some skeletal remains in that dirt, but we never really see what it is. Anyways, long story short, something happens to one of the kids, and they need blood to survive.
They sure do.
And that's all I can really say on the matter. And the only thing I will say in addition to that is this film is primarily about blood, right? And that's this is a double entendre here as far as like the meaning of the word, right? And this is about what you will do for blood, what you will do for your blood, for your child, for your family, right? And the lengths you will go to. So that's really the basis of the film. It's about family and what you'll do to keep your family member alive. Overall, I really enjoyed the film a lot. I think that it poses very difficult questions and puts people into very, very difficult predicaments. And I definitely was engaged throughout for sure, and kind of felt terrible for everyone involved. And I definitely have my like, oh, well, why didn't you just do this or whatever kind of stuff. But you just kind of gotta go with the film in that way, because it's not a plot hole. It's just a character choice, and not one I can say is 100% wrong. It's just like, oh, I don't know, man. Maybe if you did this, it would have been better.
Sure.
But maybe not. So, this character's not going to take that risk, and I get it. But that was the only thing where I was on that side. But how did you feel about the film?
I really liked it. I thought it was really engaging throughout, and I think that it was very like tragic, and it was really tough to kind of imagine what you would do in that situation, because it would be a really difficult one to try and contend with. But I was really into it. I think that there's some very scary imagery, especially at the end, towards the end of the film. I really liked the effects that were going on there. I was into that, and yeah.
When she says scary imagery, I do want to manage expectations, because while I can agree that there is some scary imagery, I wouldn't. This is not a scary movie, right? There's definitely some moments where things look scary, and the predicament they find themselves in is like scary in the sense of like I wouldn't want to be in that predicament, but the film doesn't try to rely on, there's like no jump scares. The atmosphere is not scary. It's more dramatic and depressing and hopeless. Right? There's a lot of that kind of feel to the film. So while it is a horror movie for sure, I don't want anyone going into this thinking like, oh, I want to be scared. You're not going to be scared by the movie.
Yeah.
Right? You're going to be scared by the idea of what people have to go through to keep people alive. So another thing I really like about the movie is the dad, who's played by Skeet Ulrich or Billy Loomis from Scream. He's not made out to be the way. There a lot of films I watch, they like to make things easy. They like to go and they like to make characters one-dimensional and easy to hate, so you can always root for the other person. And if anything happens to that other person, you can always be like, man, and care anyway. Right? And they do that not only with the dad, but other characters as well, where it's like, there's more to them. And the situations don't go exactly how you would expect them to. And there are some surprises and like, oh shit. Right? Like I did call most everything that was going to happen, and the film is not original. I've seen this storyline many times, right? Like a family member has the debilitating illness that makes them have to get blood, and the people who will go to those lengths to get the blood for them. This is nothing new, right? We've seen this storyline a lot. So there's nothing new in that regard. But I did really buy the family dynamic, and because of the mom's past, which I thought was a really smart inclusion of showing that she was a troubled mother, that this isn't just, the squeaky clean mom who's dealing with the bastard father who's a cheat and an abuser, or drug addict or a drunk or whatever. Like they don't make the film easy like that, where characters are just very easily offable, or like, oh, hate that person or whatever. Like, no, like the dad in this is a good dad, right? Like, and she, I mean, of anybody, she probably has the worst credentials. So I really liked that about the film. That's something that does feel at least somewhat fresh to me, because it's just always like, oh, the dad's a dick, or the mom's perfect, or these situations like they bring in somebody who there's the bully or whoever that lives next door, and it's like, well, just kill him, like nobody cares. Like, that's not how this film plays out at all. It actually makes you question every decision, and makes you look at each character as real people, and be like, wow, she's not fucking mom of the year, right? Like, and he's not perfect either.
Sure.
he does something that's not great.
Yeah.
But I totally get why he does what he does. Right? Like I don't question why he's doing things. I don't question why she's doing things. I don't ever question the believability of these characters and the world that they live in and whatnot. So, I could question the supernatural element of it, because I definitely have questions for that. But other than that, I just, that's the thing that really got me engaged in the film. And as a father, I don't really have any problems with mom anymore. We mostly have patched everything up that we've had any issues on. So, thank God for that. But any parent, especially ones that aren't together with their, co-parent partner, can relate to this, because this is a much more realistic take on their a lot of the times, there is no like right side. So
Sure.
to me, that's just, it's important to mention, because I know that I have like a parent bias towards this film, and I very much was into it as a parent and thinking about things from both perspectives and totally understanding why she's doing what she's doing and totally understanding why he's having the reactions that he's having, right? Like, totally makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the film does a good job at showing both sides, for sure.
Yeah. So it's definitely a recommendation from me. If you're into kind of the family drama, parent being tasked with an impossible task, and the lengths people will go to for their family, and a kind of a three-dimensional look at more of this like modern family with a broken home, and how things are kind of gray, and both sides have their faults. So if that sounds like it's interesting to you, and you want to have that horror spin on it with this kind of, and it isn't vampires, and I know you see the title and that's what we thought, oh, it's gonna be vampires. I mean, I don't know what it is, right? So I can't really 100% say.
Yeah, I don't know that I would say that it isn't vampires, but I think that it's an interesting take, or like
On vampirism.
on vampirism, yeah. Because it does have elements of vampirism.
But there's
looking at it
other
like a
monsters
disease.
that thrive on blood.
Sure, but this one
Right.
is like, there's a lot of things that happen that
Nobody's
are very
burning in the
specifically-
sunlight or anything.
Well, yeah,
right?
they don't have that in there,
And
but
like
there's
a
other
holy
parts.
water, garlic.
Sure,
or any
we
of
don't
that
get
kind
to any
shit.
of those kinds of things, but that doesn't mean that it's not vampires, just because there's not like.
I'm
other
just saying, it's
things.
definitely
it's not
not
the typical
traditional
one, no.
vampires. At the end of the day, you have no idea, and you're not gonna understand what it is,
Yeah.
and that's okay, because that's not the point. The point is what lengths she'll go to protect her child.
Yeah.
And man, there were some moments. One in particular that's just like gut wrenching.
Yeah.
It's
really
like,
tough.
oh, actually two. Two decisions she has to make,
That are
and they
really
both
hard.
are awful.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
let us know if you watch it.